And so the next guy grabs it. Goes, 어디를 가느냐?
You're kidding.
깡충. We did that the whole way through, and the whole time we're trying so hard not to laugh.
Yeah.
We're like, but then they didn't know what's going on.
No, how could they know? Yeah.
And it's those kind of little things that build camaraderie too between us, the guys who are doing that, or
sure.
It's just those little memories that they're the fun memories.
And the audience, like you said, it's inaudible.
It's inaudible.
Right? It's inaudible, 들릴 수 없는, and audible is 들릴 수 있는, right? So, when it's inaudible, it doesn't really matter that much
it doesn't
anyway.
Matter. So
you don't want to ruin the movie for the Koreans who are watching too, because they're watching a big serious movie and they hear Santoki.
Yeah. No. But it's, you gotta do those. I feel one of my philosophies is, no matter what, when you're working, when you're doing things, you gotta have fun with what you're doing and not take it so seriously, or else you're gonna die of too much stress.
So speaking of your work, what kind of projects are you working on nowadays?
Okay, so there are a couple projects that I'm not in the liberty to go in details about, but a drama that perhaps we're in talks, and a couple films as well, and it's just talking. And for me, so I grew up speaking Korean, but I didn't grow up in Korea.
Right.
So every day I'm trying really hard to get my accent perfect.
So when you say you grew up speaking Korean, you mean with your parents?
With my parents.
Right.
But I mean, that's so limited because I didn't grow up in Korea.
Right.
So the things that you say to your parents or your family, they are very limited.
Yeah.
So because of that, I mean, it just takes adjusting. There's a lot of cultural differences as well, working with Koreans, the whole 선후배 thing within Korea.
Right.
It's very important.
The hierarchy.
Yeah, hierarchy.
Yeah.
It's very important within the film industry, within whatever industry.
Yeah.
And so just getting used to that, getting used to even when you're in social settings, the way people crack jokes, their senses of humor, it's just completely different. At first, when me and my friends are out, and like last week, a friend of mine came from the U.S., and we were out, having fun, and he would crack these American jokes, right? It's just a complete different cultural joke,
right?
And the rest of us were all like, dude, this guy is straight from America, the way he's joking around.
Yeah.
And there's these slight differences,
Yeah.
And anyway, back to language. So I'm trying to work on my accent so I can eventually go out for just pure Korean parts instead of that Gyopo or the Korean American part.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because right now you feel like you're kind of typecast as the Korean American.
It's still not fully there. I mean, my Korean's fine if I'm just living in society.
Sure.
But acting is a total different thing.
Sure.
So that's the things that I'm trying to strive for right now.
Right. Right. Because communication is one thing, but then trying to play a native Korean speaker, a normal Korean person, a role like that can be challenging.
I mean, because no matter what language, a language has its nuances. There's so many little things that, for example, I mean, if I say mom in English, mom, it's just so, my mom. Yeah. But within another, if I'm saying it in a language that I don't know, or even Spanish, I do know a little, but madre, it's those little differences that I can't fully express, And you see a lot of crossovers. The Korean actors going over to America to act in films. I mean, it's good. They're slowly breaking in, but you notice those limitations when you watch them, and it's noticeable. I mean, you can't ignore it. Yeah,
this is a very interesting aspect that goes on in nowadays, and I really enjoy it. To make a movie more marketable in other countries, right? They bring in foreign actors and actresses to play small roles or partial roles in them, like Rain in
Ninja Assassin.
Ninja Assassin?
He was the main character in there, but Speed Racer.
Speed Racer is the one that comes to my mind. Is they put Rain in that movie, and then makes the movie more popular in Korea, of course.
Especially because Rain has a huge following in Asia.
Right.
And it just goes to show, like a long time ago, a big, when they were making movies, their big target was the domestic market, right? How much this movie makes within America.
Right.
Say I'm talking about Hollywood.
Right.
But now, I mean, when you're talking about a movie like Avatar, I believe over 70% of the money from theatrical money was from the overseas market.
Is that so?
Yeah.
No.
So,
are you sure about how sure are you about that? It's 70%?
Pretty much 70-30, and I would be safe to say 70-30. Yeah.
Wow.
It might even be more.
So the vast majority of the revenue of the money made comes from other countries.
Yeah. And so it just shows how much they have to think about when they're making movies now within the studios. They got to start thinking about the foreign market, especially when it's a big budget film where every dollar from every country counts.
Sure.
You got to start, and when you have a Rain who has a big presence in Asia, it's definitely something to consider.
Yeah. And something like a Lost, the character on Lost,
Kim Min-jin.
Played the Korean character in Lost and was a very pivotal role.
Absolutely, and even Daniel Day-Kim, they're the couple.
Yeah. Was that one of the first times that you can think of where there was a main character who was a Korean?
One of the first, I can think of many different examples, but that was it was a hit show.
Yeah.
Where the pivotal characters happened to be, in that case, Korean.
Yeah.
And it was great. It's great for Koreans. It's great for
the industry as a whole. It's good to see Asians and other minorities playing real characters with depth, instead of just like the typical,
typical nerd,
the nerd or the martial artist or whatever.
Yeah.
Somebody doing something besides that. So, and I know that was smart because it made Lost much more popular here in Korea than it would have been otherwise, right?
Because Kim Min-jin is popular in Korea,
right?
So Koreans, a lot of them watch Lost for that too.
Yeah.
So.
And they wouldn't have been watching it otherwise, if it had just all been,
or less would have been watching.
Sure. So, as I understand it, you're also, besides just being an actor, you're also doing the writing and some other aspects.
I'm a screenwriter as well.
Okay.
There's a script that I wrote. It was my first script that I wrote, but it's making its rounds right now within Hollywood. We'll see.